This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday morning, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we're your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And today, Grace will be gracing us. I feel like I've said that before, but whatever. I'm going to reuse it because it's low-hanging fruit, easy to grab. She'll be gracing us with another tale of the wild Thornberrys, our second to last episode of Thornberrys, and then we're moving on to a new show. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
We already know what that show is, too.
We do.
This far out, which is unique for us.
It is. We never plan this far out. A whole two episodes in advance.
Look at us.
I think so. we're maturing. We're changing.
We're growing, learning, evolving every day.
Exactly. But until we get to that new show, yes, this will be my last Wild Thornberrys episode, and then you'll have one next week. And I'm very excited about today's episode. I think I say that every time, but also whatever. For a few reasons. So one, most importantly, it gives me the chance to brag.
Oh.
Because they're in Nepal for this episode, specifically in the Himalayas. Toss, which I've been to. That's it. That's the only bragging I'm going to do. I just had to get it done up top.
That's more than most people can do. So, you know
I
what?
have to do it.
You brag on, girl. You brag on. I've never been
proud
to
of
Nepal.
This fact. And so we join the Thornberrys in Nepal as they're being guided to a specific point in the Himalayas, which they call Dai Ting Point, which I don't think is a real place, but they are going to Dai Ting Point to hopefully find some snow leopards. Which is why
big cats again.
Also, yes, exactly. That's why I'm so excited this episode. I love snow leopards so much. So they are being guided by a Nepali family. They've got two parents who don't speak English and a preteen son who's named Tenzing, who is their translator. And we're going to get into a few things right off the top here because I want to. And because the writers did some fun, interesting things. But first, just like a general fun fact is that I'm sure you've heard people refer to like outdoor guides or people who like bring your packs up and that kind of stuff, especially in Nepal and Tibet as Sherpas. Like people just kind of like refer to like that process of like a guide carrying all your stuff as a Sherpa. Or like they had a Sherpa. But actually, Sherpa is not another term for like guide. It's actually Tibetan and Nepali native peoples who live in the Himalayas. So it's an actual like group of people. And in Nepal, in a 2011 census, it was estimated that about 113 people were Sherpa still living in Nepal.
113. Wow.
113,000. Sorry. In my head, I said 1,000.
Okay. Maybe you didn't. I just missed it. But yeah. Okay.
No, I don't know.
Like, whoa, that's wow.
That would have been fucking wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was a better.
Protect them at all costs. I mean, still do. But
that was going to be a lot more dramatic than my number for sure. But due to being peoples that are native to extremely high altitude places where they still live today, as do many other Nepali and Tibetan people, they are well suited and acclimatized to these super high elevations. And there's even some speculation that throughout time, they've kind of adapted to be better suited with these elevations, like with their blood vessels somehow, and like the amount of oxygen that they can take in because the oxygen's so thin up there. And they've lived for over 6,000 years in these, like in the Himalayas, basically at an average altitude of about 14,700 feet and up. So like, you know, in Colorado, people be like, oh, we're here to climb 14ers. And it's like a big accomplishment. Yeah, that's what they live in. They live in higher than that.
That's their daily life. Okay. They wake up and they climb 14ers
because they're
just
already
to get
on
to
top.
their kitchen. Yeah.
Back in my day, I used to have to walk to school uphill both ways, 14,000 feet.
Yeah.
And so the Sherpa people are very regarded as elite mountaineers and experts. And since the Westerners started exploring the Himalayas, the Sherpa people did start becoming guides for these tourists, especially up Mount Everest, which some local Sherpa communities believe is part of a sacred landscape. And there are other people who are native to that area who do some of this like mountaineering guiding work, like the Tamang people, but Sherpa just has become slang for like a guide, people who are carrying up packs. And speaking of Mount Everest and the Sherpa people and the Thornberrys and the writers doing something fun in this episode, I mentioned that in the family that's guiding the Thornberrys, there's a son named Tenzing. And this is just incredible because Tenzing Norgay, also known as Sherpa Tenzing, was in real life, was an extremely skilled and accomplished Nepali Indian Sherpa mountaineer who was one of the first people, aka it was Edmund Hillary and him, to summit Mount Everest, at least in recorded history. So in 1953, Hillary and Tenzing were the literal first two people to step foot on the summit of Everest.
Oh my God, how cool.
Yeah. And so
like the writers caught that too. And yes,
I was like, good job, writers. I was so touched. And then I just found this like fun,
they knew.
Great.
They're like, Grace Holscamp's listening.
One day she'll know. Yeah. Maybe this was like the episode that implanted in my head when I was like, 7 years old or something like that, of just like, get into the outdoors, go to Nepal, et cetera, et cetera.
It's wired through you.
It all, like I said at the start of this arc, this show defined who I became as an adult. This is just another check in the box.
Another example.
Yep. And so I found, while just being like, oh, what was like the rest of like Tenzing's like life and career? He, even before summiting Everest, was a super successful mountaineer. And in 1978, he founded a trekking guiding service, Tenzing Norgay Adventures, in the Himalayas, which is still in existence today and is run by his son, who has also summited Everest. And so my heart just grew 3 times in that moment to know that this happened and is still in existence today. I looked at the website, seems dope. Y'all should use their service.
Nice.
So
this is not a sponsored ad.
Yes, not a sponsored ad in any way, shape, or form. But technically in Nepal, in order to do any trekking, you legally have to have a guide. Some people don't do that, but that's pretty fucked up that you don't do that, because it's supposed to support the local economy. Anyways. 1
and 2, support maintaining your life.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so yes, I thought of your Vampire Bat episode, in which they gave nod to Dracula and Renfield, and now I was just like, these they're
writers,
great writers.
They really are. They are. The more I watch this show, the more I'm like, God, they close all the holes, they tie the knots nicely and neatly. Like they do their research for the most part. They take some liberties, but for the most part, the writing is so good.
Yep, agreed.
Thornberrys. Anyway,
just love them. So, anyways, yes, we see the family, the Thornberrys, and Tenzing and his parents trekking along in the snow, and we see the camera kind of pan out from them and kind of go follow their footprints back a little bit, when we suddenly see there's another set of footprints, very, very large footprints. But the snow blows them away before we can see what exactly they were, before anyone else can notice that there's some footprints also following them. But they wouldn't have seen these footprints anyways, because the Thornberrys are too excited about the possibility of capturing snow leopards on camera, if they're indeed. Oh, no, not just capturing them. Oh, God.
I was like, plot twist.
Never mind about our compliments about the writers.
Yeah.
No.
On
On
camera. Okay.
camera.
Cool. Appropriate. and of them. Good. All right.
Yes. Good, normal things happening. So the main impetus to capturing these snow leopards is to try and see if they're actually still living in this particular region near this dating point that they are going to. And this, I mean, obviously not the dating point thing, because I think that's made up place, but it is true that that snow leopards do live in the Himalayas, and that they are extremely elusive creatures, which is why the Thornberrys are like hoping that they catch them on camera, but they're not really positive.
Yeah.
They're often called the ghost of the mountains because they camouflage so well among the peaks of Asia, which is a pretty cool name and scary name, actually.
Scary but cool. Yeah.
Yes. And so, because I love snow leopards, you love big cats as well. We're going to talk about snow leopards for a second.
Tell me everything.
Yes. So, snow leopards they don't just look how they look for maximum cuteness, which they have, but for practical reasons. So, they have little tiny round ears that are super fuzzy to minimize heat loss. They have these huge paws that distribute their weight evenly when walking on snow. They actually have fur on the pads of their paws to help them grip surfaces and still minimize heat loss, since they are living in the Himalayas, obviously. They've got spots to help camouflage them among the rocky, snowy terrain, and a very thick, long tail, the longest of any cat, I learned. That helps them. I know, little fashionistas over here. These tails help them store fat, stay warm because they can wrap it around them like a little blanket. And I know when they curl up in little balls, wrap it around, and keep balance when moving among the mountains. And due to their camouflage, the first, at least known, published photo of a snow leopard in the wild wasn't published until the 1970s. And they remain kind of known as like a unicorn of the animal world for actually getting footage of them. I think like the Planet Earth series was also one of the first to get like video capture. I think only in the last like decade was it like ever seen or captured, at least on footage of like them mating. So they're super elusive. They are super solitary creatures and incredible hunters. And they appear on like regular, like subreddit or like Instagram pages along the lines of like Nature is Metal, if you've ever seen those pages.
Yes.
Yes. When it's like a snow leopard like leaps at the neck of some like, deer or like ungulate or whatever, grabs its neck, launches itself and the deer off the side of a cliff, like
metal,
humbling stories down. They slam onto the ground, and then the snow leopard just gets up and drags the prey away in its mouth. Just fine.
So hardcore.
Just not a care in the world. Just like, I don't know. I don't even know what it would be because it's so fucking crazy.
It looks at us like, how do you get your food?
Wait, this is how I prepare mine. You put yours on a stove. I need to have it drop in elevation a couple 100 feet, and I'm not gonna walk it all the way down.
Right. Or like
this
drop
is my microwave.
It and then exactly. Yeah. The thrill warms it up. The thrill of falling down a mountainside.
It really gets its blood pressure boiling. I actually like them to have heart attacks while I kill them for fear. It just makes it taste a little better.
It makes the muscle a little bit more tender to bite through.
Giving meat is sometimes hard, so I got to really adjust that meat somehow. Snow leopards can pretty much, maybe except for like a yak, can take down any creature that they come across in the Himalayas. So, except maybe for people, unless it probably I just don't think it's ever decided to attack a person. I think it definitely could murder us in a second.
Right. If it can do that to any other sort of I don't think that I would be safe against a snow leopard personally.
Yes, I
So,
think
and I'm
most
not like a small
humans.
person or
Yeah,
like super out of shape.
I
So,
mean, if it even just like took its tail and just whipped me off the side of a mountain cliff, like, what's the plan?
yeah,
I'm gonna die.
I
I'm gonna
can't
be their
fly.
snack.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. That's it. It's that.
that's it.
And I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask, like, are they violent towards humans? But if they are
Mm.
also are kind of rare to find, we just might not know. And that's probably for the best.
Yes, I think I think we don't want to know because I mean,
Yes.
especially like with all of the footage that I've ever seen of them, it's like very clearly from far away. Like no
Hmm.
one's like crawling into like their den with them or whatever. Like people do that for
Or they
like
did and
for
they were
research.
never seen again.
Alexis,
Oh,
put a
okay.
pin in that. Okay,
Okay.
just for a little bit. I'll get through the rest of my fun facts and just hold on to
Okay.
that thought real quick
Cool.
in like
Gotcha.
another paragraph and a half. Um,
Cool.
but why I say maybe people is their one enemy because since 1985, snow leopards have been listed as threatened with extinction. The
Mm.
population is estimated to be less than 10,000, and it's expected to keep declining due to poaching, climate change, and habitat destruction, specifically due to human encroachment and development. So maybe they should start thinking about murdering us. I don't know.
I would not, I would turn my head if I saw it happening. Oh, ooh, that snow leopard. It's chasing after that human.
Is that a snowflake coming
Yeah.
down? Because you're like in the Himalayas
That's
surrounded by
it.
snow.
Wow.
Interesting. They're all different. Wow, let's look at all of them. So anyways, the stoke is generally high right now in the Thornberry clan.
Yeah.
They're out in the Himalayas, they're searching for snow leopards. Even this Dieting point that they're headed to, which is kind of like a base camp, like it's like a tea house of sorts, is even legendary, Nigel tells us. And he explains joyfully, pretty ominously, that his own personal and professional mentor went to this same spot to study snow leopards as well 20 years ago and was never seen again.
Oh, oh
There's that little
shit.
pin
Yeah,
that like
okay. Wow.
you
Also,
just
funny that why are they all going back to their old mentors and stuff from 20
I know I
years
thought
in the
about that.
past? This guy was working with Nigel at the same time Marianne was working with Renfield Spinoza.
And oh how their past, I mean, I guess this goes to show
Well, I'll put
that
a pin in
big
that too, baby.
no, just being a mentor is dangerous work. Spinoza kidnapped, almost was going to get murdered. This guy
Missing
disappeared
for
without a trace
however
into the
long.
Himalayas. Yeah.
Yeah, which
So
sounds
like,
terrifying,
yes,
actually.
like
Yeah,
could have crawled into a snow leopard cave. And again, like you said, never been seen again.
never been seen.
We have no bones to prove or deny this information. So I do know.
Maybe he's out there. Maybe he's in a belly. We'll soon find out.
Maybe he was a snack.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, Nigel says it kind of joyfully and just shrugs it off. And Marianne looks pissed. She like glares at him. Eliza's eyes grow huge and are terrified. She's like,
Oh, okay.
"Excuse me, what? Someone went missing out here?" Which
Marion's
correct
like, you weren't
reaction,
gonna
girl.
tell the girls that.
Yeah.
Which
Marion's
is
like,
horrible parenting, but like I get it, Marianne. I get it. You got a job to do.
yeah, or like, explain a little more of like what maybe happened. Don't just be like, well, no one ever saw him again.
So let's go back into
Anyways,
the same
have you
area
seen
where
us?
he's disappeared from.
Yes, let's go there. Anyways, kids, have you seen that video of a snow leopard like gripping the neck of someone and killing it? We're gonna go find those.
Cool.
Just Nigel.
Kids just like Debbie already isn't on board, so
Oh
like
yeah, Debbie.
she's probably just like, "Are you kidding me?" No, and
Yeah,
Eliza's now like, "Oh wait."
yeah.
Now I'm
Eliza's
also
like,
concerned.
yeah. Now I'm also on the fence.
Yeah.
But Nigel, being Nigel, yes, he continues on in his joyful way, saying that there are just so many things to discover in this area: unexplored peaks, snow leopards, the Yeti. And immediately at this, Tenzing spins around and snaps at Nigel, not even to speak of the Yeti. Also, side note, Tenzing is voiced, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to say his name wrong, by Malik Pancholi, who, if you saw a picture of him, you definitely recognize. He's a comedian. He played Jonathan in 30 Rock, if you ever watched that show, who was like in a suit like an aide. He's a voice in Phineas and Ferb, and apparently is from Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, hey, what's up? Technically Cincinnati resident or native.
Yeah, exactly. Hamilton County area.
Yeah, ish. Yeah,
ish.
I don't know, whatever. I'm like, I kind of want to look him up, but I'll look it up later.
Yeah, look it up later. But anyways, that was just a fun little fact. And kind of pretty rudely, Nigel scoffs at this, asking if he actually thinks the Yeti is real. Being like, I was just saying that, bro. Like, we're in the mountains. Like, you don't actually believe in the Yeti. And Eliza stops and says, wait, what's a Yeti? Which, like, that was my reaction to. I was like, girl, what?
All the books you read and you've never, ever
come across
heard of the Yeti?
I'm like, I guess she only reads nonfiction exclusively. Yeah, I'm a fucking nerd. Anyways, yes, my friends, what is a Yeti? I think we briefly covered the Yeti in the past, maybe in a Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah.
Like lightly touched on, but I'm going to talk about it today in the context of Nepal, since that's where the Thornberrys are. And oftentimes, the people of Nepal, specifically Sherpa, are known as the keepers and guardians of Yeti lore, which I did not know.
I did not either.
So the word Yeti potentially comes from a merge between the Sherpa words Ya, meaning rock or cliff, and Te, meaning animal. And although in Nepal, it can be translated to things like the wild man, not necessarily like cliff animal. Sources vary a little bit on the exact origin of the name, at least in my brief research. I'm sure there's more answers somewhere.
Nope.
Anyways, but I chose not to find them, even though I thought it was interesting. So anyways, the Yeti is said to be a large ape-like creature that inhabits the Himalayan mountain range, covered entirely in hair except for its bare feet. Oftentimes, folktales of Yetis depicts them as unfriendly creatures and often as bad omens. And as Nigel is questioning Tenzing in our episode, Tenzing tells a story about a girl in his village who was grazing her yaks one day when a Yeti attacked and took all the yaks from her. Ooh. And turns out, points again to our writers, because this is a local story from 1974 from a young Sherpa girl who was indeed grazing her yaks, got knocked out, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
And then the village authorities, when they found the girl, followed the yak tracks to a cave where the bodies of the yaks were found. So, pretty grim of a story. And many actual famous mountaineers, including the actual Tenzing and other ones, have reported seeing tracks of the Yeti, although, obviously it kind of goes into the cryptids category in this day and age and folklore. So Nigel continues to be rude and saying it's all fake, but the damage is done. Liza is terrified.
This is the one mention.
Yep. One mention, one story of the little girl like herself being knocked out and her animal friends being taken and probably eaten.
Just stay away from the yaks.
Yeah, exactly. Or just always be around yaks because yaks are the prey, not you.
True. Okay, good point.
Anyways,
it's or just keep Darwin around because maybe it'll go for like the smaller, I think less like the slower, smaller, option.
Something that already seems like an animal. Yeah. But yes, Eliza is freaked out about the possibility of this violent creature lumbering around the mountains. So yes, as they're trekking, gasps come across Tenzing and his parents and Nigel and Marianne as they suddenly, gasps, as they suddenly come up to a gate and a construction site in the middle of the mountains. Yes. So Nigel tries to read the sign on the gate, but it's in Arabic, so he can't quite like suss out what it says. When a group of men walk up, chuckling at Nigel's attempts to translate the words, and they tell him that it says construction site, no trespassing. And yeah, all of the signs with like X on them.
On a construction site, probably on the fence of the construction site. Like
exactly where it was.
Context clues would have saved the day there, but okay.
Nope, not for Nigel. Nigel only needs hard facts for the Yeti, for signs,
for entering private property.
Exactly.
You gotta be direct with him.
Very. So the man walking in front is Hasim. He's wearing this long fur-lined red coat, or a black like all fur hat. At first made me think like, is this dude Russian? I guess they're trying to say he's not because the sign's in Arabic. He has a vague accent that did kind of sound a little more Russian. It was confusing.
He's a contractor.
You know what? You're right. This is a foreign company. He's a contractor.
Also,
development.
Real quick. So is Arabic like the primary language? Some form of Arabic primary language in Nepal?
Nope.
Okay,
That's why I was confused.
Like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, these are a contractor. Never mind. Go ahead.
What?
I'm just gonna say like Saudi Arabia is just coming in town. They're probably like digging for oil or some shit. Anyway,
they're just covering it up as a construction site.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I was very confused because I was like, why is this in Arabic?
Yeah,
because also like the other side of the Himalayas is Tibet, not an Arabic speaking country.
Kind of close to China. Anyway, yeah.
Maybe the writers were being racist. It's unclear.
Okay. Because I thought that you were teaching me something new too. Nope. I was like, I had no clue that they spoke Arab and or Arabic in Nepal. They primarily do not. So okay, cool.
Yep. I was not teaching you anything.
I've learned that actually now that they do not speak Arabic.
See? Well, at least it's not the primary language.
Yeah. I'm sure some people do, obviously, but it's not.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So, Hasim is surrounded by a few other men who are dressed also very warmly, but they're just glaring at this group of trekkers. And Hasim is voiced by, again, someone else you have to look like later, but you will see his face and recognize him immediately. Eric Avery, who was in The Mummy, Mr. Deeds, the 2001 Planet of the Apes.
Wait, was he what's her name's brother what's his name? The British guy?
Yes, I think he is British.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about then.
Yep.
I just rewatched that movie not that long ago.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
I felt like watching Brendan Fraser. So I was like, let's watch The Mummy 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think he's like the British like museum curator. I can't remember.
Maybe something like that. Yeah, I'll look him up to see if I'm thinking of the same person. But
yes. So anyways, it's the same. He's voicing this. It's great. So
cool.
Hasim continues to introduce himself and actually explains to the Thornberrys that he is relieved to see other people up here because it's so isolated. Basically, he's like, I've been surrounded just by my employees. Holy shit, thank God someone else to talk to.
Thank you.
While he's surrounded by his employees who are hearing all of this.
Awkward.
But whatever. He does hope, though, that this group of people, Thornberrys, Tenzing and his family, won't be the last people who come up here in the short term, because after his brand new resort gets built, as he points at the construction site, there should be plenty of people making the trek up there to stay at this resort.
Oh my gosh.
So,
I was going to ask what they're building there. That's
full
seems like
resort.
Not great idea, but anyway. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Marianne lets him know that immediately, because without missing a beat, she says that this construction is going to endanger the already endangered snow leopards. And he comes back saying, like, I mean, basically, I'm pretty sure he was like, well, we haven't seen any yet. Like, they're not a problem here. I don't think they're in this region anymore. And like, if they came close to the construction site, we have a humane way to like capture them so they don't like get into the construction site, which is actually dangerous. Like they'll try and capture them outside of the gate. And then I don't know, or re-release them or something like that. So I don't know, if you have to add the word humanely to what you're doing, makes me think maybe you're not doing it humanely.
Maybe it's not humane.
Yeah, maybe it's not the best. So anyways, Tenzing and his family have seen enough and urge the gang to keep moving and not to engage further with Hassim. So they hike away, but as they do, we see very brief glimpses. We kind of like, again, pan out again. Tenzing, his family, the Thornberrys are walking away. We're camera view, POV, kind of up on a mountain peak.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see a very, very hairy shoulder, which could be someone with overactive glands or not.
This is true. I mean, the Yeti has overactive glands apparently. So could it be a Yeti? Could it be a human? I don't know.
Time will tell. Could be a snow leopard. They're hairy.
Oh God. Oh, true.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have shoulders. Mm-hmm.
They do have shoulders. So they keep hiking until they reach Daiting Point, which consists of a little tea house filled with some bunks, a table, a radio, and a heater. And as they start to settle in, they hear this big old roar. Tenzing and his family are like, oh, hell no. Mm-hmm. That's a fucking Yeti roar. That is some bad news bears. We're, one, not taking up higher up this mountain, and two, we're all leaving right now. Like,
lock your doors, hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah, but not even that. Like, we're just straight up leaving. Like, get your kids, get your wife. We're going back down. But again, very rudely, the Thornberrys, Marianne explains that, like, people used to think that the roar was a Yeti, but it's actually the roar of a snow leopard. So we're going to go ahead and stay, which, side note, only 3 like big cats actually roar, and a snow leopard is not one of them. So whatever.
Marianne.
Anyways,
I hate that she's like overstepping the natives here. Like, yes. Please let me explain to you what the sounds in your native locale actually mean. And then that she's so confident and so wrong at the same
I know,
time.
just like doubles down. Like, Nigel is already a jerk about this, and then Marianne's just salt on the wound. I wish Tenzing would have been like, actually only 3.
Yeah.
Which it's like a lion. I think maybe a regular leopard might roar, and like a jaguar. I'll look it up and confirm at some point soon. So
sounds legit to me.
Yes. Anyways, so they're like, we're staying. And so Tenzing and his family are just like begging the Thornberrys to leave. The Thornberrys continue to resist, rudely call them superstitious. And so Tenzing and his family, like on their way out the door, Tenzing like turns back and says, "We will hope for your safety." And then they leave. So I get that people may or may not believe in like cryptid things and folklore creatures like a Yeti, but you have people who live in these mountains saying this ain't safe. So like I'd be packing my bags saying, all right, we'll come up in 2 days and check it out then. Let's go home where it's safe. Y'all are the experts.
Yeah.
Not us. So anyways, Eliza's just looking out the window, trying to listen into this roar. And she kind of whispers over to Darwin, "That's not a snow leopard or any type of animal."
Yeah.
As far as she can tell.
Yeah. So I wonder if she speaks Yeti. Interesting.
Well,
anyway, we're about to find out.
Apparently
maybe.
Not. Who knows?
Maybe. Or I guess she does not. And
she doesn't understand this animal. And then everyone just goes to bed. Like, no probs. So the next morning, Nigel and Marianne head out with their camera to capture footage, hopefully, of some snow leopards. And as soon as they leave, Eliza, Donnie, Darwin all head out with their own little camcorder to follow the howls/roars that they've been hearing all night, and decided, let's go find that.
Okay, smart.
Yeah, real smart. Debbie, who is freezing and, like you said earlier, is not into it no matter what, stays back at the tea house. But very quickly into the trek, Darwin is also fucking freezing cold and is over the fact that they are, like we just said, walking towards the danger. And so he's had it. And this time, I guess the cold is really what gets to him because he goes back to the tea house. He's like, I'm not dealing with your bullying right now, Eliza. Goodbye. Heads back home.
Good for him.
I know. I was like,
stand up for yourself. Yeah.
At long last, she bullies him so much. So I guess Eliza's like, great, I still got something smaller for me as prey, aka Donnie.
Donnie's fast though, so I would have had your bets on that.
And we've seen Donnie kick the ass of multiple animals.
Yes, so like, true.
Actually, maybe he's the protection, not the prey.
Yeah, that's maybe a better way of
this is Eliza's bodyguard. So Eliza and Donnie continue their way, getting closer and closer to the source of the howling. And they come to the top of a precipice, and Eliza immediately hits the floor and tells Donnie to shut up. Well, she says, be quiet. Because just below them is a very tall, very hairy, ape-like creature. The Yeti. And it's so its back's turned towards them. Eliza's like shushing Donnie. She's getting her camcorder out. And Eliza realizes that Donnie is quiet. Maybe too quiet.
Oh no.
Because it's Donnie. Yeah. And so in slow motion, Eliza turns around to look right as Donnie is cranking his arm back with a snowball and just fucking launches it, hits the back of the Yeti's head, immediately the Yeti roars. We see its eyes fly up as it starts to turn around. But Eliza, as soon as she saw the snowball flying through the air, has immediately gotten up, grabbed Donnie by the arm, and is running as fast as possible for their sweet, sweet young lives.
Yes.
And because the Yeti probably had to scale up that like precipice they were on, they do luckily manage to get away, but smartly, like they just keep running. They're like, we got to get as much distance as possible, throw this Yeti off their track, do a little running around. But turns out that they go pretty far from the tea house, but luckily they're not lost. They find themselves back at the construction site from the night before.
Okay, good, so kind of.
Yeah, they like at least like, here's a landmark. We know
familiar, exactly. Here. Yeah.
Also, if this Yeti comes and chases us, get on the other side of this fence. There's some adult humans here.
Right. They can't possibly let two children just die, right?
Murdered by a Yeti right in front of them.
In front of them, right?
Right. Cut to, or I guess rewind this exact conversation in which you and I were like, if we saw a snow leopard about to eat a human, we would just turn away.
The Yeti is much more in danger than the snow leopard. There's only one of them.
But as they start to leave the construction site to head back to the tea house, they hear whimpering and track down. Eliza's able to follow it because she can hear it, understand it. It's something asking for help. And they run into one of the humane traps that Hassan told them about. Luckily, I guess it kind of is. It's just like a cage that like fell down. There's no like trapdoor or anything. No spikes. Like it's just to like get this creature in one place. Eliza's able to just like lift it up and move it. And what they see is a baby snow leopard.
Oh, it's a baby. Gosh, these people are horrible.
Cub. I know. It's like this little baby cub. Because even though like, well, here's the thing. It would have been fucked up if it was like a dangerous trap, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
So they obviously couldn't. But like this animal is definitely traumatized. It's a little cub.
For sure.
From its mama.
Probably looking for its mom. Yeah. Has no clue what went wrong.
Yeah. And even more like my cold, dark heart growing warm is the second it's free, it's so happy and it's like running in circles around Eliza and Donnie saying thank you and like nuzzling up against them like on their chins and cheeks, just being like thank you so much, thank you so much. Yeah, and I just it got me. So unlike in our last episode, my last episode, in which Eliza told the creature just go find your way, I got other stuff to do, and then
my gosh,
it like fucked that creature's whole life up. Eliza and Donnie decide to escort this sweet baby snow leopard cub back to its home, which is
sometimes she learns her lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Debbie is alone in the tea house still, super bored, when she starts hearing pounding on the tea house door. She's kind of like wrapped up in like her sleeping bag still, inches over to the window to like peek out to be like, there's not supposed to be anyone here. Who's at the door?
Yeah.
Peeks out. And she just sees Darwin there. I mean, granted, he's like on death's doorstep. His like icicles hanging off of his nose, little monkey face and stuff.
Yeah.
But Debbie does open the door for him, and she starts like cracking up as he like runs in and like jumps under the covers of one of the bunks. She's like both laughing at him, but she's also like, oh my God, Darwin, like that just freaked me out so much. I thought I was being like one of those dumb girls in a horror movie who goes to the source of like the like scary thing, and I was going to open the door for you. Like that was so dumb. And right as she says that, she's like, I just looked right out that window. Looks out the window, face of a huge Yeti in the window, starting to roar.
Me jump even just you saying it.
Yeah, it starts screaming, super sharp fangs, by the way.
Wow.
Darwin and Debbie both start screaming and trying to block the door so it can't get in. Yeah. Didn't know that they were supposed to have sharp teeth, but this one definitely does.
This one is adapted. Wait, remind me, where are Nigel and Marianne? Or they're just out
They're out
footage?
Trying to find snow leopards.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. And also, I wonder if Debbie is now she's too afraid of the Yeti to think about this. But before, when she first saw Darwin, was she like, where the fuck's Eliza?
Oh, absolutely not. No, she asked no questions. She was just like, oh my God.
I would be like, is this a warning? Are you coming back to tell me that Eliza like fell off a cliff, or you two are never separated, or very rarely? It's always something like, bad.
She should have been doubly worried when then a Yeti showed up with sharp teeth to also be like, wait, did this Yeti eat my sister?
My sister may be dead.
Yeah. Were there blood on those fangs?
Yeah.
Unclear. What about Donnie? Where's the rest of my family, Darwin? Yeah. Did you sacrifice them to this Yeti and then lead him back?
Darwin just like under the covers, like
just like nuzzles inside her. Gets cozy.
Yeah.
Back in the hills, and the mountains of the area, the snow leopard cub has indeed led Donnie and Eliza back to a cave where he rejoins another cub who's so happy to see his sibling back and his parents. And here's the thing. I have to remind myself, it's just a cartoon because snow leopards cubs do stay with their moms between 18 and 22 months, but the fathers are absent fathers and they do not stick around. They mate and leave. So inaccurate depiction of this family, but
yeah, whatever. They have to do it for like it's a cartoon. It's got kids have to like look up to this sort of behavior.
Exactly. Yes. So anyways, the cub tells its parents that Eliza and Donnie are the ones that saved them. And the parents are very grateful. At first, they're like ready to attack, but then the cub like steps in and is like, no, they saved me. I was in danger. And so the parents also give them little snuggles, little head rubs, because they're just happy that their baby is home safe. And Eliza starts talking to them about like where they found the cub so they can kind of know to avoid this area. And they tell Eliza that like, not again, we keep having to move higher and higher up these mountains because people keep coming and ruining their homes. Except sometimes he comes to protect us. And just as Eliza is saying, who's he? There is yet another, at this point, all too familiar roar, howl thing, noise, just outside of the cave this time. And Eliza grabs Donnie and jumps behind some like boulders in the cave to hide, and she yells for the snow leopards to do the same. The Yeti roars again and lumbers into the cave, heading straight for the snow leopards, who did not move quick enough to run for cover. And in a moment of, to her credit, being a hero here, Eliza jumps out from behind the boulder and puts herself between the Yeti and the snow leopards, starting to yell at the Yeti not to hurt them. Yeah, hero or
idiot.
I was trying to think of what's that like award that happens every year for like really dumb people. Like it's like whatever like just dumb like YouTube videos for being like you were really dumb at like the Webby Awards. No, that's
I think the Webbies are serious. You know,
maybe it's the Darwin Awards because they're being like natural selection did not help you.
That could be at the Darwin Awards. Eliza is a front runner.
Yes, in this like cut to they play this moment during her acceptance speech.
Yeah, everyone in the audience is like clapping, but she's not there because she's dead.
Donnie is accepting it for her. He didn't jump out
because he's fast enough. He ran away.
Yeah, exactly. So as she does this, one of the cubs jumps into Eliza's arms. Eliza's like holding the cub protectively. Right as we hear, and I should have practiced more.
Oh, I can't wait.
This.
Okay. An accent.
Well, I'll be that wee cub likes you. And
Australia
goes, huh? Yeah, see, it's supposed to be Scottish. I like have to like think of like Sean Connery, the wee cub likes you. I don't know how to do it exactly.
That is tough. That's a tough one to do.
Yeah, it's a tough one. That's but fair. Either way, to everyone's further shock after this Yeti just spoke.
Yeti, I like how that's not what we're focusing on. Hold on.
It's my bad accent.
It's your accent.
Eliza
Yeti said the thing.
He's like, say what? And again, to even more shock, the Yeti takes its head off. Well,
metal. Nature
is metal. Well, specifically, it takes its mask off of a Yeti head to reveal a very thin man with a bald head and bushy black beard and dark skin. And he introduces himself as Angus MacWhirter. At your service, thank you very much.
That sounds Scottish.
Yes, the snow leopards all crowd around him, jumping into his arms and nuzzling up against him. Eliza is like,
what?
happening? Donnie has picked up the Yeti mask and is wearing it and like running around the cave.
He's like, I never know what's going on.
Yeah, just like I'm just here to hang out and party. Yeah. So Angus, seeing Eliza's pure terror, confusion, pure like, should I run? Is the cub's in danger still? Who the fuck is this guy? Yeah. Angus, I don't know how to say it in Scottish accent. Continues to explain that he came to this area a long time ago to study the snow leopards, but after seeing the danger that they were in, decided to go full, our favorite thing, vigilante justice on this shit. And become their savior. For the last like couple decades, he has pretended to be the Yeti in order to scare people away. He's in it for the long con.
Also, he's fucking terrifying these locals, these Sherpas.
Yeah, I think the damage is definitely more on the local people who have this folklore and fear, not the foreign company contractors.
I don't know how I feel about this. I feel anyway. Okay, I mean, like generally I support it, but there's some ethical gray areas here. He's definitely like appropriating their like folklore and their culture to do this white Scottish man.
Yeah, and like
but you know what? It's for the snow leopard, so I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah,
in this, like one instance.
Like all vigilante justice, it's a gray area.
Exactly,
a real gray area.
Yeah.
So, well, you know, maybe I'll give them. No, I'm not giving them credit. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, he's definitely taking advantage of this folklore and local fear.
It's very Scooby-Doo-ish, by the way.
Yes,
but like
100%.
He's not trying to steal anything. He's trying to protect something. So that's I'm like, okay. I mean,
there's a lot of ethical things going on here. But he believes that his reign is starting to come to an end because the development is just moving too fast. Yes, his reign as the Yeti. What if he just like then looked at Donnie with like stars in his eyes of like, but I know who my heir is.
Successor to my throne.
My Yeti's from Donnie. It's running around. Yes. So he says, no matter how many people I scare away, more and more just keep coming back now, like this new construction site. Basically, like technology has come too far. I can't get them away anymore. And Eliza, instead of being like, oh my God, you've done such hard work for so long, or instead of being like, you must be so tired for being a hero to these creatures. What a great service. She yells at him and calls him a quitter.
What?
And then
What the fuck have you done, Eliza?
Yeah, exactly. And then she runs down the mountainside straight towards the construction site, despite him yelling at her like, that is too dangerous. What are you doing, small child?
You're a quitter. I don't listen to quitters.
You're a quitter. What have you ever done? Runs off.
Dramatic 90s running.
Yes. It was also at sunset. So yes. Very dramatic. Yeah. And down at the construction site, the construction crew, who I think maybe are local people, so maybe that's part of the tying into the local folklore situation. They start hearing very deep growls, which immediately makes them panic. And even more so, they panic as they see a rising shadow from like the top of one of the like construction equipments, like with its arms raised and growls coming from it. No. So the construction crew, all GTFO right there.
Understandably.
But I will say, hilariously, Hasim walks out like from his office, yelling at them to get back to work. And then he notices like this figure, but from his angle with the sunset behind them, it's not a shadow to him. He can like see what it actually is.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
A little girl, a crazed looking boy on her shoulders, and a snow leopard cub on his shoulders with a cloak over themselves.
Common mix up.
A common whoopsie-doo.
Yeah.
Just as they're like, and he's like, what is this?
What are you guys running from? You're not getting paid to run, by the way.
But they are getting paid to get these hoodlums. Because Hasim yells at the workers to get them, as Hasim, workers, Eliza, Donnie, little cub, all start sprinting away. Yeah. And back at the tea house, Nigel and Marianne finally get home after an unsuccessful day of trying to find snow leopards. And Debbie tells them about the Yeti situation. Nigel and Marianne are like, this seems problematic, but also, where is your sister?
Yeah. And your brother, technically.
Yeah, and your brother. And like in your China episode, as soon as the question leaves their mouth, they hear screams from down the valley. And they turn to see 3 figures sprinting as a mob of angry men follow.
Oh, gosh.
And they immediately know this is Eliza and Eliza's fault. They should probably go figure out what's going on. So,
is that our daughter being chased by an angry mob down the mountainside?
It does sound like her screams. Very interesting. We might as well
probably go save her.
Is that a snow leopard cub? We must go. Get the camera, Marianne. Come along. So
Debbie, watch Darwin.
Yeah, you stay back, and like Debbie's already reclosing the door.
Yeah, she's like already like asleep in bed.
Yeah, she's like,
by the
Eliza
fire.
Did what? She was gone.
What now? Mob? Huh? Good night.
Hear about the Yeti situation.
Yeah.
Yes, as Eliza, Donnie, and the cub are still running, they unfortunately reach a very steep and tall cliff face that is a dead end. And Hasim and his worker gang close in on them. Eliza is standing in front of Donnie and the cub, again, being kind of heroic. Again, this one is her fault. She better step up. And she does. She's like protecting them, yelling that she's not scared of these men. And low-key terrifyingly, and I think this goes back to, I think what we said at the very start of our arc is like, the scary part of these episodes is like the scariest animal is people always.
Mm-hmm.
Because to Eliza's cries of "I'm not scared of you," Hasim says, "You should be." And he snaps a finger, and we see these men one by one each grab these children. Eliza is like ripped up off the ground by both of her arms. The cub is ripped up by the scruff from the ground by another man. Donnie is also lifted up by like one of his arms, and they are like kicking and fighting and like screaming for help. And it is so scary.
Yeah, and seems very over the top. I was going to say a little, but no, it's very like what for what? Because they trespass? I mean, like
just be like, get out of here, kids.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like, haha, let's take you back to your parents now. Stay here. Don't like freaking grab them. Probably
and
dislocating like, Donnie's shoulder.
I mean, without a doubt, it's like full like ripping them from the ground. And again, they're like trying to fight back. And also like these kids ran immediately. They got the point. Like, you scared them away. They're not coming back.
You know, like throw them in like a cell on your construction site. Like, why do you need to take them? They're leaving. Yeah. You scared them. It worked.
Right. Job well done.
You are literally now just assaulting and abusing children and endangered animals.
Endangered species.
It's like,
right. Like,
massive
you are going to prison for this.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
And not just any child or children, the children of Sir Nigel Thornberry. Exactly. You think he's not going to let the crown know about this?
Wait, you think?
Or the president of the United States?
Your independent contractor business, you think that's going to look good for your foreign relations?
No.
No.
Someone's getting fired.
Yeah, this is going to look bad.
Yes.
Luckily, their screams of help or crying for help while they almost get kidnapped / who the fuck knows are cut short by a much louder sound, because on top of the cliff face that they're like up against, we hear the one and only Yeti roar, and we also see it at the top of the cliff like yelling and leaping down from this cliff face to this mob of men. And the workers and Hasim all rightfully probably shit their pants because this huge monster just jumped down a cliff at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really they start running away. And this giant ape-like creature, the Yeti, chases them.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So extra scary. And like Eliza is like calling after the Yeti, obviously, because she knows about Angus, that she's just like, okay, thanks. Like, it's cool. Like, we good, like you can come back now, like what the workers should have done, which is like they already ran away, it's fine.
Yeah.
Eliza's basically doing that, like, come on back. But this Yeti in the zone continues roaring, chasing them down.
He's got bloodlust. He's right.
One last job before I retire.
He called me a quitter. I'll never quit again.
Blood on the
like, I'm taking this to the end. Yeah,
exactly.
There's only one way to end this construction.
I always knew I'd go out in flames.
Just torches the whole thing, sets it all on fire.
You just hear like a so Eliza realizing like, I probably shouldn't have brought this small cub with me. She brings it back home to its cave, which hilariously, the parents were very excited and relieved to see the cub. So like, Eliza may have kidnapped the cub for this plot. It was slightly unclear.
Yeah.
But like, whatever. All is well.
Yeah, it's alive still. She,
Yeah, exactly. It's alive. She saved it once. She saved it twice.
Right.
And so the parents are super relieved to see their baby back. And Eliza is like, whew, that was crazy. But she realizes what is even crazier is that in the back of the cave is Angus, still just chilling there in the cave. And she's like, oh,
with the bodies of all the construction workers piled up behind him.
His suit stained. Donnie puts on the mask, the helmet again, it's just stained in blood. Prepares the blood ritual to pass the torch to Donnie in his new throne.
Blood just like dripping all over him. I guess, Donnie, you're officially ready.
You are the new Yeti.
Yeah.
So she thanks him for helping them, but she's like, yeah, we like tried to call back to you. Like you kind of ignored us. Rude. How'd you get back so quick? Like,
Yeah.
we took the fastest route, as if like he's not an adult and they're
Also
not children.
True. And he
But fine.
hasn't lived there for years.
Yeah, exactly. But Angus, with his very bushy Scottish eyebrows raised, looks at her in confusion. And he comments that he has no idea what she's talking about because he's been in this cave the whole time, reflecting on basically the last couple of decades of his life because Eliza really tore into him and he's now having existential crisis
Teenager
in the back of the cave.
Preteen girls, man, they know how to get you.
They get right in deep and they twist that knife.
Twist it, rip it open more.
Yes, exactly. And Eliza is obviously shooketh by this information.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, well, you were here, but who was that going on? But not as shooketh as the rest of the Thornberry family as they enter the cave to find snow leopards who, by the way, hilariously, the cubs immediately love Debbie, which just made me think of the panda episodes where Debbie becomes the mom.
Yeah.
They immediately swarm her. So
is she okay with that, or is she like, at first, get off of me?
Yeah, at first she's like, and then she was like, oh, and was like snuggling them.
Nice.
So yes, so Eliza shooketh about the Yeti situation conundrum. Yes. The Thornberry family shooketh by snow leopards, but the most shooketh of all is Nigel, who looks at Angus and realizes this was his mentor who went missing 20 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Real cute. Angus
what a
is
reunion.
Like so excited to see his favorite prodigy. Aww. They embrace. They are just like, oh my God, here you are. Nice. Marianne, the professional as always, immediately starts filming the snow leopards as they run around the cave, because this is now proof that they still exist in this region. Yes. And thus, very smartly, because Marianne, not vigilante justice, she's going to follow every letter of the law and make sure there's new loopholes, says this is now evidence that these endangered species are here, and thus we can petition to get this area made into a preserve.
Awesome.
AKA, fuck your resort.
Yes.
So
burn it down.
I guess flame. Yeah, it's a lighter. You already see Donnie down there with the torch and the helmet on, covered in blood. Angus is relieved by this information. Side note, I do wonder, like, does he suddenly realize, like, oh, that was an option this whole time? He doesn't get into it.
Yeah, I knew that. He went real deep. He had no plan B.
Yeah.
It's like, there must be some other way, but alas, there's not.
This is the
like,
burden
we can get
this
designated as
it's on the helmet. This is my mission from God.
The fact that that was his first plan. I take it. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just dress up as a Yeti and scare everyone away, not just prove that there are snow leopards. Yeah, whatever. It's cool.
Here's the thing. I think he had here's the thing. Where did he get this Yeti costume?
Yeah, also
it must have been a lot to ship it out to him at like this remote point that he was in too deep. By the time he realized there could be a plan B, he was like, I already had to pay for extra shipping for this costume.
Yeah. I'm going in. This show
what am I supposed to do about it now?
And honestly, it's cold out here and it's really warm wearing this costume.
Yeah. And why I think indeed that Angus just is in too deep is because the Thornberrys say, well, now that like we've solved this problem for you, you can come home now. And Angus shakes his head and says, this is the only home he knows now.
Oh.
Which that launched me into so many questions of how has he been living for the last 2 decades? I think he's just off his rocker at this point. He's been isolated and alone for 2 decades. only acting as a predator towards humans, living with these animals.
He thinks he is a Yeti, actually.
Exactly.
Like it's gotten that far. Wow.
Yeah. You just like see the like look in his eyes of like he's no longer in touch with humanity.
Yeah, he's totally
needs to be
disassociated.
re-released into the wild for sure. And none of the answers I had questions I had get answered. So I'll just say, okay. And they like walk out of the cave. I think they're like gonna have dinner with him or something, hopefully at the tea house,
he could
not
use
like
a regular
his
meal.
like rats he eats or some shit like that.
Whatever snow rodent is easy to catch.
Yeah. He's like, no, I got you. I'll have you guys over in the cave. And they're like,
he's like turning a rat over a fire. Like, yeah, it's
pit.
good. This is my specialty.
Donnie's just eating it raw.
Yeah.
Like, see, he knows.
Yeah, he's good. My successor.
Yeti Jr.
Yeah.
And so as they're walking out, Darwin and Eliza are trailing behind. Darwin absolutely eats shit as he falls into this huge footprint in the snow. And they hear a distant howl. And Darwin is like, okay, who the fuck is that? And Eliza just looks up and says, a friend, Darwin. A friend. And that's it. That's the end.
I mean, on a good day, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it just chose not to eat you in that moment.
Yeah.
But like that real life Yeti that we just confirmed exists, or a much more violent other professor who got lost in these woods or these mountains, unclear. So that's it. That's the
answer. His intentions are less pure.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's great. There's so many things I want to say, but I also don't want to forget we have to do our little countdown or our listing of what would have killed the Thornberrys or should have or could have killed the Thornberrys in this episode.
Yes.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. Well, definitely those men were probably going to kill them because they can't have bodies laying around or witnesses. The actual Yeti.
Who I believe actually killed those men. Now that we know that it's real. That wasn't, the professor. Yeah, wasn't those men are dead.
Yes, 1,000%. And the construction's probably going to stop because those dudes are dead.
Because they don't have any more workers. So
this whole time, Angus thought that he was the hero and it was the actual Yeti.
Yeah. The delusion goes never actually scared them at all.
Exactly. The real Yeti. There was a lot of steep cliffs that Eliza was just running around willy-nilly. And then I think when they first got into the snow leopard cave, the parents were like prowling to approach them until the cubs stepped in. So and I guess maybe the cold almost killed Darwin.
True.
I think that's it. Yeah. Any others? Okay.
I mean, that's a long list.
It's a long list. And all very violent deaths.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like, I mean, maybe the most pleasant would be freezing to death, but I still don't think that would be great.
But you know what? Nature is metal, and Eliza was about to fucking find out.
Nature is metal, and Eliza's the lead vocalist.
100%.
Out there screaming. Wow. You know what? Great job.
This makes sense. That Donnie's part of it. He's obviously in the band.
He is. Yeah.
Yep.
He's the bass player for the band.
Exactly. For the metal nature band for them.
Great job.
Yeah. Thank you. So between now and next week when we have our final Thornberrys episode for the time being, who should our viewers and listeners tell about the show?
I think everyone should find like a Yeti researcher. There are all sorts of documentaries and I guess conspiracy theory films, whatever, about like the abominable snowman and Yetis and all of that. And find someone who does the research for those and let them know, one of these classic cartoons covered such folklore in the past. And so now we're, I think this answers the question as to whether or not they exist. Tell them that they can quit their job as documentarians and just rely on the wild Thornberrys. Yeah.
Excellent. I think after you tell them, adjacent to that, but not quite the same, tell a Bigfoot researcher. There's definitely like societies of people who do that. There's a lot of podcasts. Probably
out in your area too.
Exactly. Hotbed. So it's like the North American-ish version of a Yeti. So tell a Bigfoot researcher and we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, that's our new demo. The Yeti and the Bigfoot researchers. I mean,
And
hey, you said it yourself. This is not our first episode talking about them, so there's
exactly.
plenty of content in there
Yes, and honestly,
for them to like.
if you do see one of the woods or the mountains in Himalayas, aka Bigfoot or a Yeti, tell them too while you're there. Let's have that bonus on of like, do you get cell data out here?
Yeah, just like give them your cell phone. That would be a great ad actually for like Verizon or something, like in a remote forest. You run across Bigfoot and you just like hand him your phone and he just starts like scrolling like, oh, thanks, cool. Like it works.
Oh, yeah, I need to catch up on my episodes. Start streaming something. This show in particular, obviously.
Of course.
Yes, excellent. Great. Well,
cool.
See y'all next week.
Until next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.